Wow. Here we go. It's Friday, 7 Gen Live. Marla bringing some wisdom. That gave me some chills. That's really powerful. Honestly, it's something I've been thinking about too, as a new dad, with a child. Mom's from Alaska Native Indigenous, and that's something I want for my daughter, to know that she can be who she is in the world and not have to bend to things, just because that's how it's put out there as dominant culture says this is how it should be done. You can be successful and you can be who you are at the same time. Those are one and the same. So it's really amazing to hear. I'm very happy that she will get the chance to meet strong Indigenous women and people like yourself. Kind of building on the bees a little bit. Talk to us about, the first time we met each other was through food sovereignty work. And that's something that has been happening for a long time, forever. It's not a new thing. But certainly it seems like the energy around that movement, especially throughout Indian country, has really been building in the last 5-10 years. Talk to us a little bit about what you all do around food sovereignty and why that is something that has been a passion for you and for the young people that you work with.
Right. Well, Mike, as you know, you're right. We've been talking about this for a while, and when we started our 4-day camps programming as part of our cultural programming, we realized that our youth had not very good diets, had all processed food, very little, it was Kool-Aid, bologna sandwiches, and chips, man. And there's so much more to food. There's so much more to health. And bringing back our medicinal and edibles was a big part of what we wanted to be involved in. And also having our kids be healthy. As obesity, childhood obesity, diabetes, all of that stuff is running rampant on the reservations yet today. And I haven't heard that there's a decline. I'm anxious to hear those words, because we all got to keep working at it till we hear it. And then we got to work some more, because we need to have our youth embrace Grandmother Earth, because she provides everything for us. She always has. And as long as we are respectful and take care of her, she always will. And that's some of the messages that we help our youth. And the only way to do that is to do it experientially. Everything we do is experiential. We don't sit down and do a lot of lecturing. We go outside and we dig in the dirt. We go on the walks. We harvest. We learn how to do the prayers. We teach them how to make the prayer ties, all of those things. And so we started a garden, like many of our programs did, right? That was the big thing. We started our gardens and we're all excited. And the first year we gave away, I think it was almost 200 pounds of produce that we had no clue. We just planted everything and everything grew. And so we shared it with our elders and our community members, and that felt good. And we wanted to keep doing that. Well, this last year, back up before that, you and I were at a food conference. I think it was in the hills. If you remember right, they sent all us Native
Yep.
programs down in a basement, right? To
Yep.
talk about our issues, right?
Yep.
I thought it was comical. You got to laugh at that one, Mike. But we had talked about many things. And you know what? One of those was what they called a wallapini, or underground garden. And several of us said they wanted to do it, us being one. And we finally had the opportunity. I pray about these things, and funny thing that some of these crazy ideas I keep praying about happen, and this one was so awesome, because we met a volunteer that had come. Actually, Paul was a student at SDSU in Brookings. He heard about our honey business and came down and volunteered for a couple of years. And this last year was just magical. He came down and he said, you know what? I want to do a special project with you. You have any ideas? So as with most people, I take them on the 10-acre walk, right? And I tell them everything, right? I just spill my guts about all my hopes and dreams. And we came to this big old hole in the dirt. And I said, this I want to turn into an underground garden. And he said, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, oh my gosh, you think we can do it? He said, I'll come and I'll spend 3 weeks. 3 weeks turned into 3 months. And he did all the research. He pulled together the design. He met with us. He had a PowerPoint presentation. Paul, if you're watching, we love you. He's part of us now. Yeah, we just let him go home to France for a while, but he's got to come back sometime. But anyway, he helped us. We got workers, local workers to help us. It was a big undertaking because we wanted to make it in such a way where families or local communities could see that they could do it. You know, and I'm not saying it's bad as the programs that have funds that can build these nice big facilities. That's great. But I wanted to have something for our local communities could see, that they could look and see how they fit in, where our youth could look and say, yes, we can do that. That can be done. And so we did it with a lot of sweat equity and a lot of shovels, endless shovels of dirt. We filled these tubes with sand, and believe me, I helped precious little compared to some of the other guys. I did what I could, and then I was like, hey, I'm gonna be like a piece of fried bread. I'll just be a grease spot if I keep at it. So I had to quit. But you know, I love everyone that worked on this project, and there's so many. I'm not even going to try to name them all because I don't want to forget anybody's names. But definitely Paul is our leader. Got it accomplished, and this fall we planted. Guess what? We just harvested again the other day. We had spinach and kale and little radishes that were so good. And we just had like 3 big bowls of greens, 3 huge serving bowls full of greens that we harvested in January. I mean, that's just like, it's just hard to fathom that it's real, you know, and it's working. So our plan, the design, certainly we had missteps along the way. You know, everything looks good on paper, right? But it's in the execution where what's the saying? The devil's in the details. Yeah, well, we had some missteps. We had to kind of do some redesigns, and this is our experimental year. So we're still looking at how we can make things better and improve them. We're talking about maybe adding a couple of solar panels so that we can add additional grow lights, because you know, our greens are growing well, but there's not quite enough light for some other things that we might want to grow. So we're having those discussions, and we're looking at that. And so so far so good. The roof has held. You know, I had a lot of misgivings about that roof, that garden roof, when Paul said, no, it's plastic. You're kidding me, right? South Dakota winds, right? No, it's going to work. And you know what? The design, the type of design, the type of materials that we use, it has held well. And as you know, these last few days, it's been tested again. So far, so good. So, you know, I think there's a reason why Paul's got his PhD. He's putting it to use, right? So we're excited about that. So our Maka Ochlate Owoju is what it's called in Lakota. You know, Walapini is some other language. And we're trying so much to use our own language. And so that's what ours is called. And, you know, every time we're having a youth weekend, we have a few youth come in this weekend they'll be going up there and checking things out, watering. We have a log that we keep a log of everything. So this spring, we're hoping that things have changed to the good with the pandemic. Hopefully this spring we'll be able to, or at least this summer, have an in-person tour. You know, we did the virtual tour a while ago, and you know, we were happy that we were able to do that, but we still want to see people, don't we? I mean, man, do I miss people. And so it'll be nice to have people to come and visit and see it for themselves. And we'll be making some design changes this summer and spring, so we're really excited about that. Really excited.
It was such a cool project. exactly like you said. That's years in the making. That's stuff that people have been talking about, and you guys just consistently kept that idea, kept that belief in that project that it would happen, and slowly and surely we're able to implement it. When I saw some of the pictures, and so I was like, man, that's so cool. I was getting all fired up over here. Me and Margaret were supposed to be going to bed, and I was like, Margaret, you have to look at this. Look at this greenhouse. It's so cool. She was pretty fired up. But I love, something you said, I think is, again, something that I really admire you and your team and program for, is this idea that there's not one program or one person that's going to do everything. That's not reasonable. That's not what you would even want a good and healthy community to look like. So this idea of taking and building the biggest grants and doing all these things, and no, really that idea that, like, well, no, this is something anybody could do. This is something anybody would be able to do. Get a couple of neighbors or a couple of grandkids or together to be able to put together a project like this. And I think that to me really speaks to that movement building idea. And I see you all as really a leader in that, in Sicangu country. And just talk about a little bit more about that, this idea of like building a grassroots kind of community-based thing of really just ordinary people. Why is that the approach that you feel is in the long run the way that we need to go?
Well, I think it's the approach because it's the only one that's had any long-term success. It's the only thing that's actually ever sustained in our communities over time. It's people talking to people, building a relationship, and then growing an idea together. And that's what it's all about, is planting seeds, growing, and then enjoying and celebrating the fruits of your labor all together. And so it's just a matter of gathering people in and letting people know. And that's where we sometimes struggle, is how do we get people involved? How do we get them all in to the circle so that they can be a part of it? And I sometimes get caught in that kind of thinking that it has to be a huge group, just has to be a group, right? Sometimes, and I can never remember her quote correctly, but Margaret Mead said it. It has only ever taken a small group of people to make change in the world. It only ever has. And so we need to find those people that are passionate about the garden, passionate about bees, passionate about drug and alcohol prevention. We need to find those people that's their passion. And a handful of passionate people can move huge mountains. And I think that's how we get things done, is finding those people that we can help them, engage in the activities that they find passion, that feeds their soul. And I believe that every human being has that. And if you haven't found, and if you say, oh, I don't have it, you just haven't found it yet. And the only way to find it is you have to keep trying. And that's what I tell the kids, is that you have to try new things. You're not going to be good at everything. Believe me, there's some things I'm pretty lousy at, and they know it. But the thing is there always are those things that you find your passion. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're the expert at it, but you're passionate enough that your passion carries you through to find the people, the resources, like this garden thing. This became my passion. Now, did I actually build it? No, I'm getting on there a little bit. I'm going to be 60 next month. I got to slow it down, man, a little bit. But I did what I could. And you know what? I found people that were passionate about it. And they took it the rest of the way. And I think that that's the thing we need to keep in mind when we're trying to make do community action, to do community development, trying to make our communities and lives better, we need to find the passionate people about that topic and then support them in every way we can. Because not one program can be all things to all people. We all know that, because at some point I think we all tried, didn't we? Right? And spread ourselves too thin, and then we had to pull ourselves back and do a real check-in and say, listen, what can we do and what are we passionate about? So I think that for us, this garden, these things, these are our passions, and finding those people. Who knew that we would connect up with Paul, plant science PhD graduate from France? I mean, you just never know who those people are going to be. And so I think that those of us that know what our passion is, we have to do our best to let everybody know what it is so they can jump on board. And so, well, you need to do it too, Mike, and everybody else. Talk your passion, and let's connect the dots.
If whoever's on here listening, if you're not fired up to get out and do something that you're passionate about, I don't know what it will take. Marla, I always love talking to you. You get me kind of reignited every time we do. Kind of one of the pieces that has been, hanging over this conversation and really over the whole last year. So, COVID-19 pandemic really just, and even in going into 2021, pretty wild national political realities. Talk to me about, just where you see in the last year, whether it's about food or anything else, how have things changed and how have things stayed the same in your eyes, and what do you hope for going forward from this point? Okay,
that's a big question. Before I do that, though, I promised Lauren I would do this teaser. Awesome. We have 50 tablets to give away to middle school and high school kids that want to get involved in our program. So families, if you want your kid, you want your youth, you want your young person to get a tablet, keep listening, because Mike, you're going to remind me by the end of how they could do that.
You got it.
All right. Okay, done. Okay, back to the question. We have been tried in every way imaginable, with the political or the pandemic, then the politics. But the fact of the matter is that little has changed in Indian country. The pandemic has had the biggest impact in Indian country, more so than politics has ever done. It really hasn't mattered. And I hate to say that, because I like to think there were some good leaders at certain times in our history, but none of them helped Indian country to any significant extent. I hate to, that's a pill that's hard to swallow for me. But how has any president significantly helped Indian country? Now, I still hope for it. I still think the only way to do that is to get, like we have started with some Native women in Congress. I think we need to do more of that, way more. And young people need to think about getting in there and fighting for us. That's important. And I think that is going to make a tremendous difference. I think it has. And I think we just need to keep working on it. But I think these things in Indian country, the pandemic has simply revealed the struggles that we have already had in place. It has highlighted it. It has put it in bold letters for everybody to see that our health condition is poor, and that has put us at terrible risk. And we're losing our elders. I mean, I know people I've lost. I've lost a lot of people in about 3 months. And it tears your heart. It makes it hard some days, really hard some days. All those empty chairs I think of that I have just in my own family, in my own Tioshbai. A lot of family members are gone. A lot of elders are gone. Can you think of all the wisdom that has been lost and the knowledge that has been lost? We have to step it up, not only to have our elders share more, but to document it, to learn more. We have to push ourselves like never before to learn our culture, to learn our language. We're going to lose it. And this pandemic has revealed some of those very serious fissures in Indian country with health, with culture, with language, with having basic needs. The one thing that it has not shown, but Indian country continues to show it, is our resilience. Many people are just so broken. But guess what? In Indian country, we know what it's like to lose relatives all the time, because you know what? We have such a high incident, high mortality rates. We lose people. We know how to deal with it. What's made it hard is that we can't practice our rituals and our ways of saying goodbye. And we have to talk. I think we really need to talk with our elders and find out alternatives ways of doing that the best we can. And once this pandemic is over, we need to come together and help each other. Because for me, just speaking personally, I lost my Hunka brother a couple weeks ago, and it was so hard. But you know what made it harder still is that we couldn't do the things that we would have done for him to honor his life, to honor his accomplishment. We weren't able to do that. We weren't able to hug everyone that we wanted to hug, and that's hard on all of us, because it kind of leaves things without closure. And we have to keep that in mind, because we as Lakota people, we know in our culture and our spirituality that there's a reason why we have these rituals. Closure is important. Moving on is important. And we have to find a way to help people do that in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of social distancing. And we can't wait for some governmental entity to make things right for us. We're going to have to do it on our own, as we always have. We've always helped each other. And you know what? I think it's great that the tribes have provided some support for us. Whether it's a grocery card or helping families that are quarantined, or getting testing out into the communities, or putting up roadblocks, defending us, protecting us as best they could. We still have to take it and own our path. And I think this pandemic has created the urgency to do so. It's created the urgency, because we sit in our homes and, you can't bury your head in Netflix all day. You just can't. We all want to escape, but sooner or later, you have to go into your kitchen and open the refrigerator and find out if there's something there or not. You have to go out and check to see if there's propane in the tank. You have to start the car and see if there's gas in it. And then you get on Facebook, Face Chat, and you see the concern and worry in your elders' faces and our youth. And so we have so much work to do, Mike. I wish that we have worked ourselves out of a job by now, but I don't think so. I think there's much work ahead of us. And I think we have to put the steel in our spine and, bring those warriors in to put their stakes down to stand with us and make this happen, make better things happen for us. So the overall picture is, it's bleak, but it was bleak before. It simply put a spotlight on it. And so now that there's a spotlight on it, we can't look away either. We have to see what needs to be done and start whittling away at it. And so doing that, in simple ways. I mean, we all kind of wondered what to do, right? Initially. And so we got our heads together and said, you know what? People are going to take care of food. There's going to be people that are going to help with food. But how many people are going to provide sage and cedar and materials to make prayer ties and sludge bowls? So we wrote a little grant. We got that, and we gave out these good medicine bags. We dropped them off at doorsteps. It was something we felt we could do. And then some of us, we sat down at the sewing machine and we sewed masks. We sewed and we sewed. And then after we sent those out and the word got out, we have several women from across the country now that send us masks to get out. Oh man, that was so wonderful to have those women step up and take over that, because let me tell you, my fingers were like this from sewing. And I tell you what, we had other things to attend to, and to have them take over on that and send us masks when we need them, that's awesome, because now anytime a youth or family need masks, we can help them out. It's really awesome feeling to be able to help somebody's immediate needs. And you know what? I have to believe that they're going to remember that. They're going to remember those. I do. I remember people who stepped up and helped me when I needed something, even if it was as little thing as a mask. And all those women, we praise them that have constantly sewed. I think the last time we got a donation with like nearly 100 masks, sewn masks. And I think we're going to keep needing them for a while. The vaccine will be great, but I think our lifestyles are still going to have to be different for quite some time. And so we've got to figure out what we need to do.
Yeah, so much I would love to follow up on there. I mean, first, just to say, how sorry for you and for everyone who's lost relatives. It is a difficult time, and just to kind of remind people just to continue to check in on each other and support each other and do those things. And I think in everything you just shared, that's what stuck out to me is that, that spirit that we're not going to lay down. There's work to be done. There's always something to do. There's always a way to help, to participate, and to get involved in helping shape that future that we want to see. So I love hearing that message. We're already at the end of our show. Somehow an hour has flown by. I know you guys have a last announcement to make around tablets, but I just wanted to give you kind of, in the last couple of minutes here, final space to share any parting thoughts or any words for people who might be listening that you want to leave us with going forward here.
Well, Midakepi, I wish you all good health. I want you to stay safe. Wear your mask. Wear it right over your nose, and social distance. Regardless who doesn't do it, you've got to do it for you and your family. We have to do it for our elders. And I think the important thing is stay connected. There's a lot of ways we can stay connected now, so let's do it. Reach out to people. I've got a lot of Facebook friends that, even just encouraging word, sending a card, whatever it is, support each other. It's important.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. All right. I'm turning it back. Go ahead. Yep. Tell us about it.
Okay. Here's the information about the tablets. We want to get more youth involved in our program. And we work with youth, middle school and high school age youth from Sicangu land, Rosebud Reservation. All you need to do is get on our website. We have applications. Contact us on Facebook. Or give us a phone call. Get an application. Fill it out. What we plan to do is to give out 50 tablets. I've got one here. Nice new tablets with a case. Yeah, and the earbuds that go with it. We've got earbuds there. Just goes to tribal youth that want to be involved in our program. Because that way, if something happens and we have to do only virtual, we have a means to stay connected now. We have a better means to stay connected. So we wanted to do that. Thank you for our grantors, our funders that helped us get this, but we want you to contact us. All you need to do is to be involved in 3 activities with us. That's either virtual or in person, and it's yours. So we hope that we can get a lot of more youth involved. We want them to get these tablets so they can use them and help them stay connected to their friends, to their family, and to us.
Awesome. Very cool opportunity. For anybody listening, if you have middle school, high school kids, nieces and nephews, if you have friends, share this video. We're going to be sharing the information, the link to the website, to the Facebook page, applications after the show. So stay tuned for that. Marla, thank you for taking time. I know you're always busy and have things that you're working on, but just for coming to talk to us. Yeah, it really is always inspired after being able to hear what you have going on. And I really am looking forward to the day, hopefully sooner rather than later, to come back out and visit, check out your greenhouse, everything you have going on, and to be around each other again. So thank you.
Awesome. I look forward to it. And once again, congratulations, new dad. You bring that tacoja out when you come visit. I would like to squeeze babies, so you got to remember that.
I definitely will. All right, all. Stay tuned. Thank you for viewing the show. Next week, we'll be here with Troy Heinert, with Sarah Pierce. We'll be talking a little bit about the community school legislation that's coming through the South Dakota Senate and the House. So check in next week for our show. And everyone stay well, stay healthy, and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.